Hi, here I am back again. It's a long time since I've made a video. I keep on saying I'm never going to do it again because I have such trouble with various things. But before I go any further, I'm doing it. The main reason I'm doing it now is because my very good friend Lisa in Canada has been been looking at some of the recent pictures I've been doing, and she'd like to know the techniques involved. So I thought I might as well give all this gumph another go and see how I can do it. Basically, what I'm doing now is I'm working a lot smaller. I'll show you the size, but basically they're 7 by 5 inch small pictures. I'm using pointed brushes, either Escodas or Rosemary and Co's for the main, and I'm trying to get back to a more traditional style, while still trying to make it my own. It's something I've been playing around with for a while, and I can't seem to get it right. So what you're going to be seeing now will be a work in process. It's not a specific style that I have developed or copied or whatever. It's just me trying to find ways of working with delicate washes in watercolour rather than slap it on all over, which is what I've been doing for donkey's years. Okay, so I'll switch over to the other camera and off we go. Right, it's a long time since I've done a video. I tried to do different setups. I couldn't get any of them to work, so I'm going back to my basic style. The main thing that I'm trying to do with this is I've been playing around with watercolours, and I've been trying to do a very traditional style with a modern twist. It doesn't make sense. I'll show you what I mean as I go along. I'm going back to using pointed brushes. A lot of them are Escoda, some of them are Rosemary, and I'm working a lot smaller than I usually do, so that right, here we go. This is the palette that I'll be using. The palette itself is just a cheap plastic one. And what I'm going to do is use some of these colours. What I've got is more or less, well, I've got 2 reds, an orange, 2 yellows, 2 greens, 3 blues. That is indigo, which is technically a blue, but it's a grey blue. That is a transparent grey, and down here I've got earth colours, which are from that end yellow ochre, raw sienna, burnt sienna, light red, raw umber, burnt umber, and that is sepia. I used 1, 2, 3 for changing tone, knocking tone back, mixing in with these. What I'm trying to do is use fairly bright, thin washes using primaries to mix colour, and then knocking them back with the earth colours here. I've included greens and I've included orange. The orange knocks back the blues, and it can come in handy. I don't use it very much. It's fairly dull orange. It's Chinese orange it's called. The greens, that one is Hookers and that one is Sap. It's cheating, some of you might say, but if using Hooker's Green's good enough for Charlie Evans, it's good enough for me. A lot of traditional oil painters use 3 blues. The 3 blues I've got are Cobalt, that's Phthalo or Intense Blue, and that is good old Ultramarine. Alizarin Crimson and Cad Red, Cad Yellow and Lemon Yellow. Those are the colours that I'm going to be using. Now, what am I going to be painting? I'll put that over there. What am I going to be painting? It's a picture I took this afternoon, which has just vanished. There it is. I was out with the dogs, walking through Erddig, and that reminds me of one of my favourite quotations from Gerard Manley Hopkins. Glory be to God for dappled things. I just love. That's what I'm going to try and do. It won't be fabulous. It's, I say, the style's a work in progress, but we'll just get on. Okay, off we go. First things first, I'm going to do a rough drawing. Get it up on there so I can see what I'm doing. I've got a bigger version of the picture just off screen. So, a scruffy pencil. One of the things I like to do is to have things disappearing off. So we've got the dark bit going down there into a tunnel. Light bit, you might not be able to see this, but I don't want to have it in too much. I've got an ivy covered tree there, a scruddly bit of dark, big tree going up that way, which I've moved slightly in. It's a big old, that tree's been there for hundreds of years. I think I'm old. And then we've got lots of branches coming off that side. Which I will put in more definition afterwards. I am not going to draw in the dapply bits. We've got light stuff coming in from that side. The path goes round a corner there, and there is a skinny blink tree going up there with branches coming out all over the place, and there is dark there, bits of sky that goes down there behind that tree, and you've got sky there and stuff going up there. Okay, now I'll put some water, just ordinary clear water, into the sky bit to start with, which is here. It's a very big brush for a very little area. What I'm trying to do is to let the water do most of the work. So what I'm going to do now, put some water in that well, some ultramarine, Now, because there's not much sky, I'm not going to do any fancy clouds or anything. I'm just going to let it spread into the water. The trick of doing traditional type painting, or the problem as far as I'm concerned, rather than the trick, is getting more paint into each successive watch while still keeping it transparent. And that should dry quite light. Grab a piece of tissue. All I need, if I've got too much there, dry off the brush, suck it out. And there we've got a little bit of sky. I think all you can see is shiny, but it will dry blue. Now, into this side we've got lots of tree bits. This I find a fairly tricky thing to do. I'm swapping, that's a big Escoda 16 I think. A Skoda Perla, beautiful brushes. This one, that's my Rosemary Snowdrop, which I've got to write a review for. It's absolutely wonderful. Where's the one I'm looking for? There we go. Another Escoda. Can't remember which one that is. But right, okay, in here we want to put the sunshine in first, and I always find that lemon yellow gets good sunshine. And just to knock it off slightly, I'm going to put a tiny touch of sap green in it. That's there. Clean the brush. Water. Wet all the tree bits. I'm going to leave a tiny little gap there. Okay. Now the light is coming that way, so most of my lemony, yellowy, greeny colour is going to be on this side. I'm not filling the area, I'm doubling it in so it will spread out in the water. You've got to be fairly quick before it dries. Now, where's that? There's that bit. And I know this tree here has a lot of ivy on it, so we'll put some on that tree, on that side of it. Some more light coming up along there. Okay. Let those spread out a bit, clean the brush. Now, for that next blue, I'm going to use some ultramarine as a base. More of the lemon yellow. I'm mixing it into the edge so that I can pull more blue in as I want to. Okay, now hopefully that's, yes, it is still wet. So this is where it gets tricky for me, because I like to go fast, and it just letting some of the green go in and mix with the lights so it makes its own shapes. Rather than me actually painting stuff. I'm trying to let the paint do its own work. It's darker on this side, so drag some more blue in. Let some of that go into the sky colour. Now, by leaving some of this paper white, I can do wet over dry, which will change the colour of those bits, but leave those whatever colour I put on top. Over here I can put in the shadows of the ivy, a little more dark, a bit more green actually. last time I did a video, somebody complained that no one could hear me. It's an occupational hazard with me. I'm deaf. I never know when I'm speaking at the right level, shouting or whispering. It's so if you can't hear me, I'm sorry. Stick the subtitles on and it should get some of what I say. Or drop me a note and tell me where I'm, whether I'm doing it right or wrong. There. Now I've got some of that where it's supposed to be. Clean the brush. I'm going from the back coming forward, so put that one back. Get my lovely, this is one of my newest brushes. That's a Rosemary Snowdrop, pointed round, number 12. I bought this a couple of weeks ago and I haven't stopped using it since. As you can tell by the colour of the thing, it's supposed to be white. That's why it's called Snowdrop. It's lovely for doing this sort of stuff because point is tiny. Okay, that's starting to go off. So I'll put a bit greener. Again, it's still, the only colours I've used so far are lemon yellow, ultramarine and a tiny touch of sap green here and there. Right, some dark bits. Now that is still just damp, so it's pulling it out slightly. Especially in the darker bits. I'm letting this lovely little tip just dance. Not painting leaves, not trying to paint leaves, not trying to paint shapes really. Just letting it dance over the circle, over the surface. Hopefully it'll give an impression eventually when I tie things together, if I tie things together. It's the bit I find trickiest is trying to keep hold of my brush by the looks of it, is trying to work quickly enough that the surface is still receptive and yet carefully enough to put the paint where I want it to go. And the difficulty very often is stopping it from it becoming mud. Got there, a bit more dark. Bit more water. This is the scary bit. Well, not scary, but if you get too much water in this second wash, when that one's still dry, you end up getting cauliflowers flying out all over the place where you don't want them. Right, now I purposefully left some white bits in there so I can do some wet over dry to hopefully change some of the colours. The theory behind this, the way I look at it, is getting progressively darker as you get more and more layers on, so that the shadows, when you eventually put them in, will fall into place. because with all painting and with all drawing, it's the shadows that make things look light and give things shape as well. And by keeping the washes fairly thin, hopefully I'll still get the reflection of the paper coming through, which is the tricky bit. Right, okay, we've got those bits, we've got those bits. That's more or less dry. While that's drying, I'm going to do the big tree. Start off with raw umber. Which is a lovely yellowy brown and very handy for a base for trees. Into the raw umber, tiny touch of ultramarine which greys it down a bit. And now we'll put the tree in. Again, very watery paint, because this is the first layer over the white. I want the white to show through. Not as white, I want to use the white to keep the colour light. Okay, some of these branches going off. Now, it's a very old gnarly tree, so while that's still wet, I'll put in some burnt umber, again, touch of ultramarine. If you mix these, they'll come out almost black, but I don't want it to now. Okay. See how delicate this brush is? It just... shadowy bits all down there. Just painting this on top of the green which is in the background. just to darken it, knock it back a little bit so it looks as if it's further away. And so I want that tree to stand out from the background. More of the blue, more of the burnt umber. Right. I'm putting another layer of the umber, the raw umber, on top of that, which should just darken it up a bit and soften the edge of that shadowy bit. See, cauliflower. More paint into it before it dries. The science behind it is that the thicker paint bleeds into the thinner paint. So if you get them the wrong way round, you end up with water just going in on its own and making nasty messes. Whereas there now I've managed to get the paint thicker while it's still wet, so that the thicker paint is going into the watery paint. If you zoom in, I'm not going to because I'd lose my focus, but if you can blow up this bit, you can see it actually working. Okay, now most of that's wet, dry. So again with the raw umber, but again I'm going to cheat because there's so many leaves around there, it reflecting into the local colour, so there's a slightly greeny tinge to it. So I've just put a tiny touch of sap green in. There we have, little skinny tree, and the top bit of that one while that's still wet, I'll put some fairly strong burnt umber onto the shadowy side. Tying that in to those bits. Okay, now we do some shadow on this side. It should have gone off a little bit. There's actually another tree there which I will put in. I was going to leave out, but it's got an interesting vertical there. It disappears into that lot. Okay, I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And while I do that, I'm going to put the pathway in. Again, raw umber. But this time I'm going to add a little tiny bit of light red just to warm it up. Keep it thin because I'm going to drop some shadows into it. There's a dark bit going across there. There's quite a lot of foreground in this because I want the dapply bits to be the main focus of it leading in. It's quite ambitious of me because I'm not that brilliant a painter. There's times these days with watercolour especially when I feel like I'm biting off a lot more than I can chew. But we'll see. More sunny stuff, stronger. Some little bits of sunny stuff here. Now, that should be okay. I'm going to try doing a broken wash. No, do it on that one, keep it clean. Lemon yellow. Sap green. It should be stronger, but fairly thin. Because what I want to do is add some depth to these colours by just painting over the top of them. Just where I put the leafy shapes. Now while that's wet, put some more green. Touch of blue. And just drop some more darks in and let it spread out. Bit more dark. I want to give some shape to this ivy. Because as I said before, it's the shadow, it's the darks that make things, give things shape. Shadows define where everything is. Okay, down here, a very shadowy bit. Put some of the brown into that. And we've got here. The reason I've left that blue there is this is the darkest bit. to remind me where I've got to put really dark darks in. Again, it's still damp, so I can put this thick paint in and it will spread out, hopefully, and give nice diffuse shapes. Add in some more greeny colour. To these shadowy bits, which have gone a bit muddy, sad. Maybe I can get some of that back by putting even more contrast just behind that tree. I've lost the branches going off. Hopefully I can get them back a bit. Just contrast, light against dark, dark against light. There, that's sticking out a little bit. They might be a bit harsh. Right, okay, I've got that. Now, get the dark hole in there, which is almost black. Burnt umber. Ultramarine. And some yellow, so it still stays green. The problem with having so many colours out is I sometimes take my eye off the ball and start putting it in the wrong one. I nearly ended up with phthalo green in there instead of ultramarine. Right, that's getting nice and dark. It's only got 3 colours in it, so it shouldn't go too muddy. Now we do the shape of the tunnel. I must admit I do quite enjoy doing these little pictures. I've got an exhibition on at the moment with 30 little pictures in it instead of half a dozen big ones, which I quite enjoyed getting ready. I've sold one, so that's not bad. It's getting a bit long. But I shouldn't be much longer now, just add in some bits of dark, bits of texture into these leafy bits. Trying to leave the leaf shapes down there. Okay, getting somewhere. Now, clean that one off. Now I have the tricky bit to do. I'm scared about this. Alizarin into the brown. Clean the brush. Ultramarine into that colour. A lot of it. Ooh, too much. Not far, not far. Right, there's a sort of purpley colour. Clean the brush. Now, that's a shadow. That is the colour of the tree, basically. Now, pour some of that into the mix. A bit more red. I don't want a great deal of water on the brush. Which I have. I'm reinforcing the shadowy side, and I'm trying to put in my dappled bits. Now, more shadow goes across the road, underneath there. These boughs are sort of lost in the shadow, so I can put them there. They're just a little bit darker. Right, now I need it slightly darker. I'll put some burnt umber into it there. My ultramarine's a bit sticky. Right. I'm adding the colours of the road to this now. It's not a road, it's a path, which are the raw umber and the light red. Now the only way we can make this grey coloured roadway look sunshiny is by putting shadows on it. Now, got that done. All I'm going to do now, oh, it's a bit there, needs some dapples. Now, just because I can, I want to show off my newest brush, which is another Rosemary and Co. It's an extended point. I was really excited when I got it, and now I'm not sure. It's tricky to use, but we'll see. I'm not sure whether it... I got led astray by advertising. They were putting Chinese ones all over the internet, and I was in two minds as to buy one of them. And then Rosemary's had this offer on, so I decided to get one from them. So now the whole idea of it is you fill up the bottom, and then you've got a rigger which supposedly lasts a lot longer. So all I do is just use them as a rigger. I just want to put some odd bits of branches going through the tracery here. Some growy bits. That's a technical term. Also gives some sort of idea that there's movement, growth. And I'm reinforcing that really dark bit there. Right, I think I'm going to call that one finished. Maybe a little bit of something squiggled in the corner. Yeah, that'll do. Glory be to God for dappled things. So, I'll just take the tape off. If I can get them in the right order. Always pull your tape away from your picture, or you stand a chance of ripping off some of your paint. If this sticks to the paper, it doesn't matter at all because it only pulls paper off. But if I stick it, if I pull it that way and it pulls off paint as well, you'll hear a squeal. Well, there should be, there it is. Sorry about the arms all over everywhere. But there should be a little mount. And there's my picture. See if I can zoom in a little bit. There's the shadowy bits. There's the whole thing again. Hope you enjoyed it. It's where I am at the moment with this pointy brushes of various different sizes, as opposed to going in with huge great hakes, which I always used to do. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Right, I've come back in with my phone so that we can go into a little bit more detail. It's easier than faffing around with the video camera. Pardon me, that's the whole thing. If I go in, you should be able to see where things overlap. And even in the darkest bit in there, I've tried, because I've broken the wash, you can see slightly different tones and shades. And there's no detail, there's no drawing, it's just colours. And hopefully I'm starting to get somewhere with the way I'm trying to paint now. So there we go. Now, it's another long one, unfortunately. It's a bit over an hour, so let's hope you like it.